Are you in a relationship with people who, act towards you as if you are their proud possession? Because, funnily speaking, if you are their proud possession, point is, you're still their possession. It doesn't matter how much pride you install in them, you are still their possession. A great realization I had recently was that people always, and that is always, say the truth. Now, the point is, they may not do so verbally, but from a certain standpoint, they always do. They cannot hide the truth because, they might, conceal it through words, but the point is the way they articulate the words, the way their body speaks, right? It can only present the truth. The point is, one requires a certain level of professionalism or a certain level of depth when it comes to their introspection to observe such points. There are people like psychologists, psychiatrists, right? Some profilers, right, who are capable of reading people. There are also the ones who don't have such, specializations, but with a certain level of empathy, right? Cerebral empathy or emotional empathy, right? One can end up reading people at least to a certain level quite easily. Now, the point is, many people will pride themselves with another person, right? And they will gladly call them, their prized possession, which means technically that they feel or they think that they own you, right? If you are their pride, if you are their proud possession, right? The point is, ultimately, you are still an object to them, right? They don't love you, it's just your turn. That's how many would say it, right? The point is, if you feel that you are someone's possession, why don't you move away? The point is, there are two main types of relationships, right? When it comes to this thing called love, right? Although this love thingy is just something that people take at a shallow level. Many people consider love as, being nothing else than a, quick fuck and that's it. Or a set of fucks because, why not? Like, if you can fuck yourself several times with someone, why not? So the point is, the moment when a relationship would become a bit deeper, people will move away in many cases because they are afraid of emotions, right? They are afraid of commitment. That is why we have, that is why we live in a society of pussies because, so many people run away from responsibility. Ultimately, ignorance is running away from responsibility because responsibility is the greatest fear of ignorance. The moment you present the idea of responsibility, which also is synonymous to the truth, that is very scary for unconscious people. And just as I said that people can always and always say the truth, the point is, lying is just an aspect of fear, right? And we all know fear is the predominant state in this world because, how else can you lead the masses, right? The point about fear is it triggers all of the uh, behaviors of humans and it allows control over these behaviors as well. Because ultimately, people behave in a certain way, most likely because of a fear of a certain outcome. So the point in this society is if you are the possession of someone, it means that they are afraid of losing you, right? If they are afraid of losing you, it means they don't know you, right? Maybe you are some loyal being who wouldn't leave them. Or maybe you will. But the point is, if they know that you can leave them, why don't they leave you? Because, that is the point of codependency, right? You know that a person can leave, or, you will leave the person, but you will still spend some time because ultimately there is some gain, right? Friends with benefits. Because ultimately, people who are shallow, they will always look for the benefits. They're not that interested in relationships. You can see that they always run away from, situations becoming a bit deeper, right? Because that's how shallow people have become through the superficiality that, religion has created. And now, worse than that, the problem is this society wants you to be dumb. It wants you to be dumbed down. The music dumps you down. The water is usually dead, so it's kind of dumbing you down also because it's not nourishing you at a lively level, right? All the pipes and all the curves that they have, they constantly impose, a sense of death in the water, right? Because it's not the natural water that you're drinking. It's not because of chloride or the such, but the point is the water also has chemicals, yes, but everything that is in this society always preserves death and always reveres it in a way, because even when you go to a burial, right, you always wear black because black is a powerful attractor. You're technically attracting the death energy that the deceased person's body is emanating, right? You're taking part of that death energy into you, and you're also taking energies, especially lower level energies, from other people, right? Because everyone is dressed in black, and black as a color is a universal attractor. Now, I'm not saying that the non-color black is a bad thing, but that's how it functions. At a physical level, right? Something is black because it absorbs all colors, right? All the color spectrum is absorbed in it, right? So you see it as black because most of the light spectrum was absorbed by that object. So we basically only see an illusion, right? If you see it as red, the point is that object's color technically is everything else than red, right? Because, well, these eyes were meant to function on the principle of everything. It sees everything that it deflects, right? So the point is that is reflected in terms of light. So if an object reflects red, it absorbs all other colors. So technically that object is all the other colors except red, right? So we live in a society in which everything has been reversed and shaped in all possible ways and forms because humans are so bound to meaning, right? They only want to use the brain, and the problem is the brain requires concepts, right? The brain requires meaning, and meaning is a self-destruction button. Just like that, the brain only requires control. The point is, if you are someone's possession, you're only under a certain sense of control, right? And you're playing this game in which you're, asserting a sense of control over the other person. If you truly love someone and they truly love you, the point is, well, most people don't accept such a concept, but it actually exists. The point is, so many people are shallow and they run away from emotions because, well, that's suffering, right? When you run away from emotions, suffering is the only thing you'll find. And, well, people will embrace their suffering, right? It is their comfort zone. Once people realize that comfort zone is beyond that, right, is beyond suffering, you have to go through some suffering because life is all about change. The more you change, your life becomes better and better. The point is, the less shallow you become, the deeper you can understand certain things. The deeper you can understand things, well, point is, the better you will become in time. And the point is, the more introspective you become, you'll also be capable of supporting deeper relationships. And the deeper you can go in a relationship, that means beyond sexuality, because sexuality is something important for the physical body, but it is something shallow. People all believe, or most of the people believe that, love is just about sex, right? Everything is just, something that you put around, in order to kill some time, but ultimately it's all just some kind of, Pornhub video, something like that. I mean, everything is just let's say, the antechamber towards the moment of sex, right? Because, well, you want to study together, yeah, sure, that's just a pretext. You want to be together, yeah, sure, okay. When it comes to love and how most of the people are, well, they just use codependency, right? They want someone. When you say you want someone, well, it just means that you want to own them, right? And the moment you are in a relationship with those people, you will see that, you no longer want them because ultimately they were just a prize. You just wanted to be in a relationship with those so that everyone would see that, hey, you achieved your purpose. You would probably expect people to give you some praising, which most likely won't necessarily happen. And, well, you're gonna live life in the same disappointed way, right? Because What people are ultimately looking for is attention. The only problem that most people have is, well, when it comes to attention, they kind of don't know uh, you know, how to make sure that they actually receive the so-called attention. So when people tell you that they love you, that's kind of a little red flag for me because I don't need such confirmation. I read it myself. If someone needs to tell me that they love me, well, ultimately, especially if they do it a lot, it means that they don't trust me, right? If someone tells you constantly that they love you, it means that they want confirmation from you that you love them as well. If someone has insecurities when it comes to a relationship, it means they don't know themselves because they fail to understand me. Well, I'm a more peculiar being, so I'm harder to read from many standpoints. And well, in many cases, if people end up with some ideas about me, that's kind of a problem because I don't identify myself with a lot of things. So if people have such points, well, they're reading me wrongly from their own perspective, which is the wrong way to go. The point about relationships is, it can be a relationship, as I call it, or it can be a relationship, right? Relationships always come from a balance in between the ego and altruism, right? Many people say that you have to be altruistic in a relationship, but I believe that there always has to be a balance in between egotism and altruism, because ultimately you have to make sure that things are good for you as well. If things aren't good for you, well, they won't be too good for the others, right? So if it comes to you being called or considered, right, a possession, then it means you're just a target to be achieved in someone's list of goals, right? Which kind of happens, right? Many people just function by this principle. Women might end up thinking that they can hook up with any guy and they can simply sleep with them or do whatever they will just because they're women. And many men also think similarly, right? Because well, they think they can get any girl, and to men it's always a better challenge, right? Because girls may not necessarily fall for you easily, or they might play some of their games, but ultimately they will also fall sooner or later. So the point is, it's always this challenge of subduing the other, right? That is what many people see in this challenge, right? In this life, as it's always about subduing the other, or it's always a sense of control. In a relationship, if there's a sense of control, then there's definitely no relationship. That's a competition, right? Because only in competition is control regarded, right? Competition is all about proving yourself superior to the others. Competition is just a primitive way of seeing life. You want to be superior to others. Well, it's okay if it's done in like official competitions, right? Sport competitions, music, whatever. But in a relationship, that should be all about intimacy and exploring life through the prism of others as well. Well, unfortunately, many people end up doing so from the prison of others and of course their own mind. All this being said, well, hopefully this video was introspective, and all this being said, you are appreciated. Take care, Ferinjan Board signing out.